began about 3 years ago. We began building a database and collecting information that Bill has been collecting for I don't know how many years. Partly because there was a need to kind of organize the information and put it together. So as a result, what we're going to do today is we're going to go back and talk a little bit about the problem and some of the questions that have been raised. I'm going to talk a little bit about the use of the database. And as I said, all of the historical interpretations I'm going to leave to Bill. All this is just data to me. I can get it in, I can get it out, I can process it, and I can manipulate it. And so one of the things I've been doing is looking at a variety of ways of manipulating this kind of data, and we'll show you some of the more recent activities in terms of how we're trying to do this. Hopefully we'll let Bill talk about some results of the data and some of the implications that show up, and some of the challenges and some of the potential advantages. Okay, so just to let you know, when you see a slide that's got, this is actually a picture of Herodotus, the Greek historian. So when you see a picture of Herodotus at the bottom, that's Bill's slide. And when you see a picture of the little computer geek, it's my slide. And if there's nothing on the bottom, then it's kind of a toss-up and a free-for-all. Please feel free to ask questions, and anything that deals with history, ask him. I'm happy to answer any of the technical questions and any of the mathematical questions we introduce. So, you.
Over to you. This database became a necessity. I started it about 12 years ago when I was doing my short postdoc at Cambridge University, and I had been given the money to work on military culture in the 16th century. I originally wanted to look at money, but realized that that was almost impossible given the sources. So I started to look at military personnel. My PhD supervisor was a historian by the name of G.R. Elton, Sir Geoffrey Elton, who came up with 4 annual lectures between 1974 and 78, addresses to the Royal Historical Society, all of which were entitled Points of Contact in the English Kingdom. And it's rather a brilliant model that was developed over many years of study and about 70 PhD students. And what he did was to say, look, we have these various points in early modern kingdoms where people come together. So, for example, in England, county, court, parliament, and so I thought I would look at the army as a point of contact for people. Now, in historical terms, the biggest English armies of the 16th century were the ones sent into the penumbra of this Hispanic brook. These were the ones directly involved with some kind of military effort against Philip II of Spain. And the 2 of them were the 1585 to 1603 army, stationed by treaty, the 1585 Treaty of Nonsuch, in 4 principal garrisons in what were then called the United Provinces of the States General of the Low Countries. We refer to it today as the Netherlands, and you're probably very familiar with the Spanish Netherlands. The second great army was that which was sent to deal with an escalating and difficult situation in the Queen's second realm of Ireland. From 1594, through a series of genealogical accidents, there was a chieftain in the north, the Earl of Tyrone, who inherited the Kingdom of Ulster, the old Kingdom of Ulster. And he was open to Philip II giving him money to create a military, which he did, and it was highly successful against the English. So, in a sense, these 2 armies are the ones we're studying in this sample. And so I'm looking for things like crossover and military personnel and so forth. But more importantly, my focus here was on the formation of the profession of arms in England. A couple of things to note about this. We know the effect was profound. First of all, in England at that time, there were probably somewhere around 300 offices of the crown that were worth having. And these were offices that would pay out about somewhere around 50 to 100 pounds a year. When these captaincies are created, and you'll see the numbers are huge, you suddenly get another 1,000 people moving into the official world of England. And this has to have a profound effect on the power structures and also on the whole nature of office holding. So we wanted to know, who were these guys? Where did they come from? How were they brought into military service? And what effect do 1,000 or more new office holders or existing office holders have on the official world of an early modern kingdom over a quarter of a century? And so the results here are going to be profound. Huge amounts of money were spent on this, vast revenues. Between 1585 and 1603, the total is £4.5 million sterling. Now, those of you familiar with Philip II know that he bankrupted Spain several times through military expenditure, and the English response almost prompted a similar bankruptcy. There are years, however, of escalation in military, and you'll see these when we get to the data. The two biggest armies were the 1585 and the 1599-1600 armies. But to put this into perspective, if you're looking at total crown revenues from all sources in the late 16th century at about £400,000, you have to consider that in some years they're spending over probably another third to a half more just on military personnel. So what effect does this have on official culture? One of the hypotheses I'm working with is, did some of the elites kind of just drop in for a little military tour and then get out again? By the same token, do we have another group of people where we only find they hold one office, and that's a military office? That may be the developing of a military culture. I call them lone men. They don't seem to be attached to anything other than a single military office, and they hold on to it. We run a gamut of people who hold upwards of sort of 50 offices to these people who hold a single office. We're also looking at the transitory nature of this. There is no standing army in early modern England. There won't be a standing army until what is called the English Civil War in the 1640s. And the first English standing army is Cromwell's New Model Army. Some would be familiar with this. And that means you have a bureaucratic structure with a payout system and an existing revenue stream that comes out of the royal fisc for the maintenance of forces. There isn't one. So this group of people, I feel, are not only in terms of individual and group, are highly unstable, but they also pose an instability to the crown by their very transitory nature. And those of you who study early modern kingdoms know that they don't have these robust state structures. They can be thrown off very easily. And in this sense, we're looking to who is coming into these offices. Are they part of existing gentry family, noble family? Are they people who have some kind of affinity to a great military commander? For example, the two biggest ones would be the Earl of Leicester, who dies in 1588. Those of you who know the Spanish Armada know that he shows up just in time to die heroically. And then the Earl of Essex, his godson and nephew, who becomes the commander in Ireland, very, very bad commander in Ireland, 1599. Do these people bring a lot of people in? What was the effect on their careers? Do people actually get a sort of galvanic thrust forward through the holding of a military office? Does it retard their office? One of the things we discover is, as you would imagine, it does, because a lot of people die. It's one of the, you can't get past this.